Nothing today. Live.
You took a sip literally as soon as the countdown went to 0.
Live from my despair.
Oh.
It's a
Wow, this
business
is
pants
dark.
Friday. Well, there's no Ari today, so I just feel down. December 17th,
Hey.
2021.
I know,
It's a Friday
seriously.
show. Hello.
Like Ari takes one show off and it causes Damien great despair. That's what
Well,
we're
we'll talk
finding
about
out.
that later because I've written a few things down about that. That's in
Oh.
the section, the goodliest of the week. All right, here it
Let me
is. Yeah.
as teasers go, everyone's in now. Yes.
Look, if you're
totally
in
listening.
already, you're in, right? I mean, if
That's
you're a
true.
part of this, which I know there are people who are, you're already in.
What logic?
Yeah,
You
what a
can't quit
sad,
this. You can't quit
sad
this.
world we live in.
The only problem is that we don't know how to get those people to tell other people, and we don't seem
Are
to
you
want to
listening,
advertise or
people?
market.
Tell someone and advertise
No, it's
here.
not their job.
It should be.
No, we just don't budget for telling anyone beyond your friends, Matt.
I don't have
Okay,
any friends, which is a
we're gonna
problem. What are we
go talk
doing
about
today?
something more interesting now.
No, this is
What are
interesting.
we doing today?
This is why people like us. All right, story of the week brought to you by
Yeah.
me because I'm the only one who understands the world.
Oh.
Uh,
Yeah,
Matt Matt
I
will
heard
present assholiest of the week because he's the only one who understands assholes.
that might be true.
In
That might
place
be
of
true.
Ari, the data queen, I will present the goodliest of the week. That's going to be very brief, and then Emma, of course, will come along and tell us what's bothering her.
Mm-hmm.
Ready? Let's go. Come on, let's do
What
it.
isn't?
Woohoo.
Go fast. I got a bunch here. Unlike my colleagues Emma Lurking and Matt Moscardi, I don't write like a novel for each one of my headlines. I don't know what's wrong with these two, but here we go. I'm gonna go over these. I actually have 6, but I'm gonna run through them pretty quickly.
I don't have a novel. I just have
No, but I'm gonna run through them
400
quickly
stories of the week.
because they're self-explanatory. If you want to talk about anything, that's great. But let's just get to it. Stories of the week. Kimball Musk's brother is Time Person of the Year. Okay, that's number
Boo.
1.
Boring. Move on.
Tornadoes. Class action
Okay,
lawsuit
better.
filed at the candle company because
We talked about that.
allegedly they were told that if they left work ahead of the tornadoes, they'd be fired. And then Uncle Jefe Bezos criticized for celebrating Blue Origin launch before mentioning the dead people at his factory. Okay, that's
Yeah,
number
that was
2.
dumb.
Tornadoes.
Yeah.
Tornadoes.
Okay.
Tornadoes literally hit our world. They literally hit the subjects that we cover. So I guess thank you, tornadoes. But really, I shouldn't be thanking the tornadoes because
Yeah, that's
Tornadoes
weird.
aren't
'Cause
that
they're
discerning
killers.
about what they hit, though.
The
It's not like they're
optics
like,
of
"Oh."
thanking the tornadoes probably isn't good either.
Yeah.
look. I think the tornadoes know this about me because they know. But I'm afraid of tornadoes. They scare me. Number 3, Reddit confidentially files it's for they're gonna IPO. They're gonna do it. They're gonna go public. Reddit. Number
Mhm.
4, the ousted McDonald's CEO they're clawing back his $105 million severance pay. That seems like big news. Number 5,
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi rejecting a stock trading ban for members of Congress. She wants to. She wants to have. She wants to get. She wants to
She wants
invest.
to insider trade.
Yeah, she wants to do it all. And finally, just to troll you guys because I'm in a bad mood and I'm kind of hating both of you today.
Whoa.
Kraft Heinz commits to carbon neutrality by 2050. That seems like big news.
They didn't
That
do
is a
that
troll.
already?
That's so not news at all.
That seems like that seems important to me.
Oh, stop it. Just
No, I mean
stop it.
in 29 years we're gonna have some really good ketchup.
In
What are we gonna
29
get out of
years, a
that?
ketchup company will figure out how to emit less carbon.
Perfect.
So there you go. Those are my stories. That's a lot of stories. So feel free to look at the sheet if you need to remember what they are when you vote. Go and we only have only. Do I get to vote on this? No, it's only 2 voters
No.
today. It's awkward.
No,
I don't know.
I think you should.
I vote.
think you
Okay.
should. I mean, you pick 6 stories, and I want you to pick Kraft Heinz as the story of the week just to troll us even further.
You
I
should,
don't want to.
but this week you should choose as Ari because we're down 1 voter.
choose.
Yeah, what would Ari
Ari
choose? Yes.
What would Ari
You're-
choose?
You are
Well,
our
Ari
Ari.
usually waits for Emma to choose and then kind of goes with Ari. Goes with
No,
Emma.
Ari usually has a terse, one word answer for like it's Reddit,
Yeah.
and then you have to probe her to say like why, and then her reason
Okay, I'm
why
gonna
is
channel
usually
Ari.
like that
What
made
would
me
Ari?
excited.
What would Ari say? Well, Ari, when I get emotional about something, Ari goes with it. I didn't really present anything here in an emotional way.
Because you're
No.
in pure despair today. I don't know
Yeah,
Yeah.
what
it's
you're.
just like the
You're
world
numb.
sucks. Oh, gee, this is a tough one. I'm gonna go. I
It's
mean,
gonna be wrong.
Kimball Musk's brother. It's just he's always the story of the week. It's irritating.
Nah, boring. Boo.
Yeah, Kimball Musk's brother was up for story of the week, asshole of the week,
Every week.
and
Ever.
irritatingest of the week this week. So, and maybe goodliest of the week if you consider his tax payment, the
Oh,
largest
sure.
in
Yeah.
American history.
Okay.
So we
Spin
could
it that
literally
way.
have spun that
Does anyone
every
have a
single
vote?
way, which is so dumb. I have a vote. Emma, do you
Go
have a
ahead, Matt.
vote?
Yeah,
I
go ahead,
do
Matt.
have a vote.
Go.
Emma,
Somebody
go
go ahead.
first.
I can go. I think that my vote is going to be for tornadoes.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, tornadoes
Tornadoes are
has
the
to be
story of
it.
the week.
All right, the clean
Because,
sleep. The clean sleep. Let's just
like,
move on.
okay.
No, there's no
No, go
moving
ahead.
on.
No, you can talk.
No, tornadoes are definitely it because, first of all, there was, very tragic death involved that companies are not being held accountable for, except in the public arena. But
You
what
say
does
it's
that really
tragic.
matter
Who knows? It's
unless
really
they're.
tragic.
Yeah, I think that, death is.
Maybe that.
I
Maybe
know
the
that you're
tornadoes
feeling
killed.
despair today, and death might seem better to you today than other days, but
Maybe they
it's
killed horrible people. Maybe these were horrible people that were killed. How do you know?
no,
You're not
I don't
God. You
think
can't tell me
so.
what's tragic.
Oh, you don't think I'm God? Huh, well, do I have something to tell you? But yeah, it's obviously tornadoes. Has to be.
You agree?
And
You agree,
Jeff
Matt?
Bezos celebrating Blue Origin before acknowledging the tragedy of the deaths at the warehouse is just the cherry on top, really.
Well, here. Okay, I'm gonna skip over Matt because he looks like
Haha.
he doesn't. He looks too pensive to speak right now. So I'll go first.
Yeah, you
I
go first.
agree because I think the real story here is just this ongoing. Look, we're in the stakeholder world now. It's the stakeholder world now. We're living in a stakeholder. The early days of some form of a stakeholder capitalism revolution. Whether it becomes meaningful, I have no idea. But something's going on. This is why these stories get attention because it's really not the attention's really not on the tragedy of it. It's on how these companies, handled the way they're treating their workers. So that's why I agree with you. And Bezos, like, he just gets criticized for everything. So it's just another opportunity to attack Bezos, which I like.
I mean, look, the tornadoes was the ultimate in multi-stakeholder stories, in as much as you had the employees who died and were working to get you, the consumer, your stupid candles for Christmas because
Yeah, your
that's
drug
what you
addiction.
need. You need
Yeah.
a fucking candle this Christmas. You had the corporate sort of overlords in Jeff Bezos getting castigated for it, though in fairness to Jeff Bezos, like e- there were lots of companies who lost lots of stuff and their workers working like 24 hours a day. Like I'm not sure that what we expect of Jeff Bezos anymore, who's not even the CEO of Amazon. He's
No,
just the lowly.
When are you
Yeah.
to change it over to Jassy?
No,
yes,
I think
where
the
was
point.
Jassy did put something out.
The point with
He
Bezos, I
did.
think, is that he's just a target. He's because as part of the early days of the stakeholder revolution, is that they like to target the big boys like
But
Hey,
then you have like Mitch McConnell issuing a statement because the tornado was in the
in
the
his
longest
dumb
one
state,
was in
yeah.
Kentucky. And in his statement mentioned climate change approximately 0 times, but
Woo.
did mention that the Biden administration, they needed to cut red tape in order to get disaster relief. So very happy to get disaster relief. Not so much, it's sort of like preventative medicine. We're not so happy to like pay for preventative medicine. We just would rather pay exorbitant amounts for the surgery you need for the goiter that you didn't go get checked a year before to avoid. So didn't mention climate change. It had all the things. Like the tornadoes basically had all the things. It was the perfect story of the week. That's why it's the story of the week.
All right. Yeah, we all agree. So does Ari. Moving on. That was the story of the week. The tornadoes. As holiest of the week, Matt. What do you got?
All right, assholiest. So assholiest of the week. I usually do a series of semi-snarky assholes of the week. I thought about doing Time Magazine and Mark Benioff as asshole of the week for picking Kimball Musk's brother. I thought about climate change for asshole of the week for literally destroying everything in its path with the tornadoes. I thought about doing, all sorts of things that could elevate to asshole of the week. Instead, I picked one. You have one thing to choose from. That's what I'm going to do. There's no snark. There's one option, and I'm going to basically lay it out in as stark a terms as I can. The asshole of the week.
Song form, or is this
No,
A
if it was
song.
this is pure emotional seriousness for me. I'm not an emotional person, but
so
I'm
this is
going
legit.
this is legit. This is like a legit heartfelt asshole of the week.
So if you're washing dishes while listening to our podcast, which I thank you, because I think that's a great thing to do when listening to our podcast, maybe you want to turn the water down a little bit so you can really listen to Matt.
So you can feel my heartfelt emotion.
Stop scrubbing that yolk encrusted plate for just 5
fucking hate that you can't get the
seconds.
yolk
Matt,
off.
okay?
I really hate
All
that.
right,
The yolk
time to
does
listen.
not come off. The asshole of the week is TikTok and Facebook. It is effectively social media.
Both. Wait,
but
okay,
I'm going to
social media.
start with TikTok first and foremost this week. Why? Because social media is psychological terrorism. There is no other way to think about what social media actually is. There is no element of social media that is not psychological terrorism. This morning, I spent all morning.
Is that true? I don't even know if that's true.
I spent all morning legitimately terrified. I am not on social media. And I was legitimately terrified for my kids because this week a meme's been circulating around TikTok saying that something terrible was going to happen in schools on December 17th, which is today. There were no specific threats, except for
Y2K.
schools, including elementary schools. They threatened generic terrible things, including violence and shooting.
Who's they?
No one school.
What do you mean they? Who
They
threatened?
is a collective meme circulating group of asshole idiots.
Okay.
The same meme ended up getting circulated on other platforms, mostly
And do those
Instagram and
accounts
Facebook.
get shut down? Like, I don't understand. Like,
None of the accounts got shut down because there was not a specific threat of violence. It was a generic threat of violence.
what's the generic threat?
The
Can you be more
generic threat
specific?
was violence at public schools. That was the generic
That's
threat.
not a.
It was like something's going to happen on December 17th.
Something's going to happen
gonna
to
happen
your
on December
kids
17th.
on December 17th.
So why can't we get rid of those accounts? Why do we need those accounts?
It's all the accounts. It's
All
like
the
it
accounts?
got
They'd
circulated.
have to get rid of a
Kids'
ton.
accounts, parents'
get rid of them.
accounts, worried accounts. It
don't really
was
even understand. Okay.
psychological terrorism. It was basically people saying like, "I heard something was going to happen on December 17th at public schools." That was what was circulating.
And TikTok really does not have the mechanism to kind of shut off the pipeline here. Is that it?
No, they do. It's just not
But do
against
they?
their policy.
How do you know?
technically.
But no, you say they do, but do they actually?
Because
I
they
mean,
can. Like there have been other situations.
Why? Why do you
where
say they can? If people are posting live, Emma, what makes you think that they can
They
stop
have-
this? If it
they have people monitoring their content constantly.
yeah, they have people who are suicidal monitoring their content, like in windowless
Correct.
rooms.
And
Correct.
Charlie
Yeah, I don't know
Munger
if I-
developed architectures. Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily agree in the sense that I don't know that these companies are actually built to monitor everything.
I think that their
24/7.
infrastructure is poor, but they also put absolutely no effort into it.
I don't know if that's true either.
They're built to monetize what you put on their platform,
That's what they're
not
built for, yeah.
not to filter what they're built to in the bare minimalist form, filter out what society seems to yell at them for the most in as little a way as possible as to continue to monetize the platform.
Ironically, when I was a kid, the FCC, like, you couldn't hear a swear word, you couldn't see any nudity on TV. Like, there were people that
So
used to
so
monitor
that's
things.
that's one of the better examples on TikTok. So like TikTok will take stuff down for nudity all the time if the person like isn't white or it doesn't have a conventionally attractive body and et cetera, et cetera. And so they're really on it with getting all of that stuff down. But then when there's a amplified groupthink conspiracy theory circulating, somehow they can't manage to take it down.
So today was that amplified groupthink conspiracy theory, December 17th. I will tell you honestly, and this is no joke,
Yeah.
my text was blowing up all morning with parents that we know who kept their kids home. They
Did
were
your school
freaking
system?
out.
Did they cancel the school today?
The school system didn't cancel school,
Okay.
but what
And
they
can they?
did do was
Yeah.
post multiple police officers in front of my kids' elementary school who were armed and ready for something. They don't know what. I actually did a little bit of due diligence here. Extra duty officers cost roughly $50 an hour. So while they're standing outside of my school, not catching rapists and car thieves, there are 17 schools in our district. It cost our district probably $14,000 or $15,000 to post police officers in front of school because of fucking TikTok. Because a bunch of fucking idiots on TikTok said things like, on December 17th, I heard something was going to happen. This is we're spending $15,000 as a school district, while in South Dakota, the honor of scrounging dollar bills off the ground for much needed school supplies was made a TikTok meme in Dash for Cash that went viral on social media. TikTok did release a statement today or yesterday saying we handle, this is the quote, and they released it not on TikTok, on Twitter of all places. Quote, we handle even rumored threats with utmost seriousness, which is why we're working with law enforcement to look into warnings about potential violence at schools, even though we have not found evidence of such threats originating or spreading via TikTok. You know what was happening today on TikTok? Kids were spreading prayers and terrified memes of, I'm going to school today and I'm terrified. My parents don't believe me. They think this is a joke. The parents were sending things that were like thoughts and prayers to every kid going to school today on December 17th.
Oh my God.
Let me say for the record here to you, TikTok and Facebook, because the two of you own basically 100% of the market share of social media.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself, because your stupid ass platforms, which enrich two human beings, basically the Chinese authoritarian state plus, the billionaire who started TikTok at ByteDance, and Mark Zuckerberg. There's two entities that basically benefit from this. Your stupid ass platform so that you can send me ads so that I buy more stupid ass rubber chickens and whatever else I'm supposed to get for the holidays from the Mayfield candle factory that got burnt out of existence because they're advertising that I should buy Endless Nights candle scent on your dumb platforms so you can get more advertising revenue to enrich effectively two human beings. Mm-hmm. I am terrified to send my kids to school. And your response is, you better put some police officers there. We don't know where this is coming from. It's not from us. That's your response. This can't be the universe I live in.
I'm torn about all this because I don't know, because I mean we also live in a culture where our network television shows that are owned by big conglomerates glorify things like serial killers. I mean, you see, like there are countless. But I'm saying, like, now the blame is on TikTok. I don't know. Like, our culture seems deranged.
What's very clear is that the network television is maybe a dozen conglomerates. You got Clear Channel, you got Fox, you got NBC, you got Disney. You have a handful of companies that are actually regulated by a regulator that they can glorify serial killers and spread sort of fear monger, but they actually have to mostly tell facts to the extent possible. If they're not an opinion show, they're finding ways around it. They are regulated to do certain things. They can have their channels revoked. Clear Channel can have there is the threat of revoking it.
But they can
There is
rot
no
They can
regulation.
rot our minds and culture and our souls.
There is no regulation for something that can spread instantly. A December
Right.
17th vague threat had parents that I know sending me texts saying I'm keeping my kids home because I'm
Yeah.
terrified. I had to
But you
talk to
can't.
my
Yeah.
significant other about this last night and make a decision.
Right. But you
There was
can't have it.
one
We
kid
can't
on my
have it
kid's
both ways.
bus.
Well, you can't. We can't have it both ways. Either we have a world where we can share things unfettered on the internet, or we don't. Right? Like I don't know what. I just don't know what the solve here anymore is.
The
I really
solve,
don't.
at a bare minimum,
Yeah.
is that 70% of the market share should not be owned by one college dropout.
I agree. Of course.
The solve is accountability. I don't have a problem with people getting rich doing this, selling ad dollars. I don't care about that. I don't even have a
Wait, but if you don't
problem.
have a problem with that, then then I don't understand. Like, why don't you have a problem with that?
Well, because you can't stop that, right? Like I can't make every advertiser say like you
You could.
can't advertise on these
It
platforms.
it could be a public utility.
I can't. Well, yes, they could regulate it, sure, but that's accountability, right? Like you're introducing accountability into the system, and that's all I want. It either gets regulated by a government entity saying you can't put this on your platform anymore, and if you can't figure out a way to stop it, then we shut you down,
Right.
or you regulate it by investors saying you can't have one college dropout autocrat who makes all the decisions for what goes on. Having a fake Supreme Court like issue rulings. I read the rulings yesterday because I was curious what else they're ruling on. It's fucking ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
it's a level of
It's
absurdity where they're
random,
basically
arbitrary cases.
it's so arbitrary. It's a
Nobody
case of
cares.
like,
Yeah.
an Ethiopian minority group like put some content up. Facebook took it down and then improperly reinstated it from 8 months ago. They're ruling on that now. When
Well, Matt.
in real time,
Yeah.
I cannot send my kids to school because
But our coastal elites need new Teslas, so they had to join that board so they could up
while
their
all of this is
EV
happening,
game. Yeah.
while all of this is happening, like the kids are terrified to go to school. You're giving them your data for free so that they can monetize it. Like all the investors have given up all of their rights just for the scratch the whiff of a fucking dollar. While all this is happening, Mark Zuckerberg spent $320 million in the last few years on property. He owns 1% of an entire Hawaiian island right now, and he controls the stock and
Well, why are
all
you
the
focusing
decisions
on
at this
him if
company.
this is a TikTok? Today is a TikTok thing, why are you focusing
But
on
the
him?
same thing is true of ByteDance, right? Except it's a Chinese state instead. It's a billionaire there who's largely
Remember my
controlled because
prediction?
it's a state that makes the decisions for him. What
My
he can and
prediction
can't
by
do.
early 2022, maybe this is going to help my prediction. Early 2022, I said we're going to know the name of the CEO of TikTok. We're all going to know it. Are we getting
I
closer to
mean,
that, you think? Does this
we
help?
have a name. We have a name of
I
the
know,
guy.
but do we really know the name?
As a society.
Does it roll off your tongue like Mark Zuckerberg?
Well, that's part of the problem. It's
Yeah.
a Chinese name that's
Well,
hard
because
to say.
also culture loves being anti-Semitic, so it's fun to attack Mark Zuckerberg.
I know. It's easier if it's a
Hey, we figured out Satya Nadella. We figured out Sunar Pichai. We can figure
No,
it.
we haven't really figured those out. The three of us have figured those out, but they're playing a long game that is brilliant. I am convinced that they're using those people names as a barrier against.
Well, the
scrutiny.
funny
Just
part
like
is
Facebook did by changing its name. It's the same play.
Oh, and that's the other thing.
If we're gonna make a production, it's that the eventual next. I mean, Zuck's gonna eventually step down. He'll become executive chair. He'll still run the thing, but there will be a CEO with a Satya Nadella like name in place relatively soon. I'm guessing within 5 years.
So that's my asshole of the week.
That's your big fuck you.
There's one asshole of the week, and I want them to go fuck themselves, and that's TikTok with the broader extension of social media, which is basically Facebook. Get out of my life because I'm not on you.
Well,
I don't
contextualize
care
this
about
for me,
you.
then, Matt.
I'm out
Contextualize
of
this.
you, and somehow you are still influencing me and my kids.
All right,
Get out.
Contextualize it for me. So, let's take Reddit or let's take Snap. both obviously big players in this sphere, but not dominant. Um, do you not hold scorn for them? I mean, if you break up a Facebook, do those just fill the place? Like, where do we stop our scorn, right? I mean, are we just mad at Zuck because he figured out success? Or, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, what do you
So
think about Reddit? Like, what?
my
Yeah.
difference between, at least, and this is me gonna be talking about algorithms again, but
Oh, here
at
we go.
least based on my basic understanding of how
Basic
these
understanding.
my basic, because I do this, not that, so it
That's a
is
selling
all
point for our
understandings
show.
I have of this are basic. But Snap and Reddit aren't really algorithm based. You kind of have to search out for different communities, you have to follow people, you have to actively make those decisions on your own. But for Facebook and
Okay.
ByteDance, TikTok, things can
Well,
come across
especially
your
TikTok.
page that you do not choose because their
That's
algorithm is
interesting.
trying
I
to
guess I
pump
never, I
things to
never
you.
thought of it that way. I've never been exposed to Facebook, so I don't know anything about it. I assumed that
Yeah,
that was based on your network, but you're right about
right.
TikTok. It is and of course we're hypocrites because we're like about to try to launch a bunch of content on TikTok. But my experience with TikTok is how bizarrely and quickly and uncomfortably like I am seeing young like women
Mhm.
Yep.
with no clothes on.
Instant.
Like,
Mhm.
and I'm like,
Instantly.
if anyone were looking over my shoulder, luckily no one does because I am trapped by a pandemic in my disgusting shed. But if it were anyone to be here, they would rightfully assume that I am an incredible, horrible pervert because
Right, and in order to
it
get that
just
stuff
pops
off
up.
of your
Like,
page, you have to actively say, "Not interested,"
I
scroll
would
by
not
it
even know
super
how to do that. I don't
fast.
even want to touch Emma. When I see these things, I don't even want to touch my screen.
Oh, yeah,
Because yeah,
absolutely.
because I don't want to
But
make it
that's
look like I'm interacting with that content because I'm worried that more of it will come. And my daughter has set up. She like set up Snap for me. She sets up all these things for me because she likes when her friends like send me things and make fun of me. It's it's part of the fun of the whole thing. And I'm just worried that I'm going to inadvertently like some like soft porn. And then
mhm.
her friends' parents are gonna come and beat me up, and it's a crazy world. I mean, maybe they should beat me up. I don't know.
I think Emma's right. I think the algorithm driven curation. But the reason why we focus on Facebook is not just because they were more successful. They actually weren't more successful. The Facebook platform, the original platform,
Until they
It's
bought
not.
Instagram.
in decline until they went out and bought
No,
WhatsApp and they went out and bought
I
Instagram.
don't buy that.
Instagram.
In
And now
decline. How
they're rebranding and doing the meta thing because the fact is these are
hardly in
not
decline.
long term like the fad switches. Kids are into
Yeah.
TikTok now. They're into going to be into something else soon. The reason why you focus on Facebook is they have structurally it's one guy and they have 3 billion users they reach. It is 70% of the
Oh, it's
market.
more than that because Instagram has 2 billion active users a
I
month,
mean,
right?
like their
They
estimates
just
of
hit that,
like
yeah.
collective
Yeah.
users, like the individual
I
unique
yeah.
users, is like 3.5 billion or
Look,
something like that.
I mean, I don't know what the solve is clearly because I have a basic understanding of everything. That's just my limitation. But that Facebook is still allowed to own Instagram is the ultimate hypocrisy. Like that anyone pretends to care and lets that keep going
And that
is
Google is allowed to own YouTube.
means to me that
Mhm.
nobody cares. Like
Mhm.
because I hear people from Emma reported on this. I think this week, last week, it doesn't matter. I don't pay attention to anyone anymore. But that people from
Thanks.
both sides of the aisle, the only thing they agree on is they hate social media, they hate
Yeah.
Facebook, they hate Google. But you're right that Google owns YouTube, that Facebook owns Instagram. Nobody cares. Please,
Yeah.
that's an easy binary switch. Just like enough. Like I mean, we held up the government held up the merger of Sirius satellite radio and XM satellite radio for like 18 months because they were worried about some monopoly of a service that nobody cares about. So I don't know what's going on.
And here's the like the investor like bullshit that like I'm tired of, that it's fiduciary duty that you own these things, right? Like
Well,
I
that's
have
true
to own the
too, right?
index. I sorry, I have to get beta. I'm just
Right.
I have to like outperform the market, and the market is that, and I can't outperform if I don't own
Well,
that.
that's what I
Like
always think about when you talk
have you
about Zuck.
seen the way the stock goes up? I have to own it.
That's what I always think about when you complain about Zuck, and how dare you complain about Zuck because he's a brilliant dropout. But there's a really easy fix to his dictatorship, and that's that we don't have to let him list in this country. Like,
Yes.
I'm increasingly irritated that this is something that we can, as a collective culture of supposedly intelligent coastal elites, can overlook constantly. This bizarre Middle Earth system of assigning a certain amount of voting rights to these shares, unless it's ridiculous and arbitrary and stupid. It makes
And-
the whole thing look completely made up, and they're complaining about ESG. Like, this is what people complain about.
Honestly,
Is it
It's-
not made up? Isn't it
But
made
this
up?
is
But-
like absurdly made up. Like, this is
It's
like the part of
even
it is
worse.
like so absurd. It's just so absurd that you can own a certain percentage of a company and yet your voting power is exponentially increased because of some made up. It's just absurd. It's
it
absurd.
feels even worse to me because the listing agents, right? Like your New York Stock Exchange, your NASDAQ, your FTSE, your Hong Kong, your whatever. They have the same argument effectively that the credit rating agencies had in the financial crisis, which is if we don't do it,
Right,
our
someone else
competitor
will.
does.
Yeah,
And then we've lost the money and the ability to maybe influence them in a positive direction over time. And
they
it's
never will.
like, well, how has this worked? In fact, there are more companies listing as dual class now than there ever have been.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like,
We're seeing
yeah.
triple and quadruple share classes.
because they've
We're
all
seeing
given up.
100x shares because
And-
no one anywhere is like, okay, that's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
draw
And
a line.
ironically, we purport to care about risk. We purport to be interested in long term sustainability. To me, there's nothing more of a risk than a company controlled by a dictator. I mean, and I know
And
because the
then-
market is they're just fixated on gains now. They're fixated on quarterly statements and what did you do this year? Everything is like a annual snapshot. But how is that not the ultimate long-term risk to like put your money behind this weird Hawaii buying, suntan slathering? I'm serious. How is that not a gigantic long-term risk? I mean, that was the only thing I was thinking about with Reddit yesterday. To me, it seems like a no-brainer investment. And I'm thinking like the only way this comes down is leadership, is governance. And to me, there's no bigger red flag than a governance at a company that's controlled by one dummy.
And but the investor class has uniformly said we don't have a choice. Like,
Right, because
it's
they're-
on
'cause they're
the
fixated on the
and
short term because they're bizarrely
rather
fixated
it's
on
not
short term
even, but
gain.
it's not even that. It's not even that. It's because, like, think about the career risk that it would take to say, like, great, you've allowed that company to list. We want the index without that company on it because we don't have rights. And the career risk it would take for an investor,
Why
for
is that
like a
risk? It would
human
put you on the
being,
map. It would put you
because
on
a
the map.
human being at some point has to say, you know what, any gains that company's going to get in the stock market, we are going to give up on, and we
Right,
are
find
going
your
to
gains
tell
somewhere else.
our like the people whose 401k we're managing, we're going to tell them, no, you don't have any rights at that company. It's not worth the gains, right? Like that you would have gotten. Then if you underperform the market, guess what happens? You're fired. Like, that's it. You don't have a job.
Well,
because
Hobby Lobby has raised its minimum wage to $18.50, I believe. So there's always hope.
I'm just saying. The system is set up such that there won't be accountability for these people. So that is why they're my asshole of the week.
All right.
I'm
So, ready to
terrified
vote?
for my kids
vote.
because fuck you, TikTok. And
I'm terrified for your kids too. I just read that we do a radio show every week, Portland Gorham, WMPG. Gorham just sent all their kids home. So
That's what
affecting
I'm
even our
saying.
radio show.
That's what I'm saying. So
Let's
go ahead, vote on. That
I'm
was your
gonna
one
vote.
option.
My one option is TikTok and Facebook. Is that it?
That's it. Yeah.
I'm
What's your
voting for
vote?
that. What's your vote, Emma?
I think I have to go with TikTok and Facebook on this
Huh?
one.
What do we think Ari would vote for?
I think Ari would vote for TikTok and Facebook.
All right.
right,
It's a clean
clean
sweep.
Moving on. Oh, good news of the week. I'm gonna take over for Ari this week. We have three quick and easy choices. I'm not gonna become a raving lunatic like Matt Moscardi. Here we go.
Oh,
Ready? Number 1, goodliest story of the week. Ari is not here. That seems kind of mean, but that's the first.
That's mean spirited. Yeah.
Yeah, but there are others to make up for it. Okay, that's the first. You don't have to vote for it. The second one is Ari today paid off her student loans.
Yeah, that is
Whoa!
good. Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
That's insane.
And that was a definitely like a multiple exclamation point message to me this morning. Although, to be fair, everything she sends me has multiple exclamation points. So I don't know how to
How many
distinguish.
more exclamation points did
I would
that
say
have versus
the one I
baseline?
received was about double the
Double the
usual.
So that would be
exclamation
6
points.
because I get a minimum of 3.
How come
Mine
you
was in
guys
all
get
caps too. Mine was all caps.
you guys
All right.
get like excited like Slack messages from Ari? I got where are we on our market cap?
Yeah, well, you
like,
sit by each
project.
other. Yeah, so just get over yourself. All
the
right, that's
hell?
the second goodliest story of the week. Ari paid off her student loans. The third is that Ari is so busy with other free float work that she did not have time to do the show today. That sounds good for the future of our company, right? If you really slow down and
It
think
does.
about it, that our analytics,
Or we're
our
highly inefficient.
consulting is so there's so much going on that she couldn't attend this very important show.
I have my vote.
All right, Emma's already ready to weigh in.
Go ahead, Emma.
It's student loans. Fuck
Oh, this
student
is
loans.
boring. This
Good
is
job,
boring.
Ari. Very proud of
She
you.
didn't have to go to expensive school. It's boring.
Damien, what's your vote?
I mean, I want to be a jerk and say that Ari's not here. It takes a little bit of pressure off of me as the host because I don't have to like pay attention to her and let her be heard. So
I know
kinda
it's
like
hard to pay
that,
attention to
believe
somebody
me.
who says one-word answers to
Uh,
things.
But I'm gonna go with the last one. I'm thrilled that our analytics and consulting business there's so much going on, and you will hear more about some of the stuff we're involved with next year, 2022, because there are things that will be announced by other entities. There's lots of stuff going on. We'll talk about it next year. So that's my vote. It's great. And I don't really want her here
So-
anyway because I don't want to have to call on her. So it's really just a win-win for me.
So my options for goodliest of the week are number 1, Ari is not here. Number 2, Ari paid off her student loans, and number 3, Ari is so busy with our other work she didn't have time to do the show today.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Ari not being here only applies to you two because she is here. She's right over there, and I
Okay.
can
Well,
see
you're
her.
getting
so I
meta.
can't-
Let's speak to the audience.
I'm
You're
sorry,
not
I
here
don't live in
recording
the
show.
metaverse. I live in the real verse where
Okay.
Ari is right over there. So that one
Ish.
doesn't apply
Do
to
you
me.
live in the real verse if you didn't send your kids to school because of TikTok? What world do you live in?
I
Matt?
sent my kids to school, so
Did they have
I live in.
what type of Nike
I just had to tell
NFTs
'em.
were they wearing?
They were wearing Atari.
Okay.
I'm Ari paying
Your
off her
vote is?
student loan is nice for Ari, but why do
Yes,
I
yeah,
care
what
about
does that do for me?
That
guys are
doesn't. I'm
horrible.
only interested in the goodliest for me. The correct answer is number 3. Ari is so busy with free float work she didn't
Yeah,
have time
of
to do
course.
the show today. And I will say this to
Yeah.
the one person in Croatia who's listening to this show:
Oh,
the stuff
who I love dearly.
who I am indifferent to. The stuff that we are building at Free Float,
Go ahead.
legitimately,
Yeah.
is the most interesting things you're going to see in 2022. That is my prediction of.
Like all across the
We're
week
board.
not
so.
there yet.
Across the board.
I
Yeah,
know.
we're like 14 days away.
I'm just saying the things that we're building. Just think of it this way: like,
Yeah.
if when you buy a company, you never ask who you bought. You always ask what you bought. We are going to answer who you bought in a
Oh, yeah,
way
I
that
got
will
ya.
break your brain. That's what I'm saying. That's what Ari is
Sweet.
currently working on over there, right there. I can see her. She's working on. There's her hair.
Oh, that's
sh-
TMI.
well,
right.
I'm just telling you. It's
So the
back of her
goodliest
head that
story
I
of the
can see.
week: Ari is so busy with other free float work that she didn't have time to do this stupid show today. I added.
She
stupid
will be
there at
happy
the
to
end.
know that Emma was trying to celebrate the fact that she accomplished a life goal of paying off her student loans.
Yeah.
No thanks
it's
to
a
Free
big
Float.
deal. Yeah.
Well, maybe she should have done better in high school. She could have gotten more scholarships.
Oh
She
my
could have,
God. Okay,
maybe she
we're
should have
moving on.
worked
With
through-
this
maybe she
segment
should have
is
worked
over.
through
We're
college as much as
done.
I did.
Bye.
I don't know how much she was working.
Yay,
I
it's
worked a lot in
irritatingest
college.
of the week.
Yeah, is it Damien now?
I wish it's never
Yeah,
been me. I
now
want it
it's
to be me.
Damien.
All right, Emma, come
I
on,
think
take it
it
away.
probably
Come on.
always was.
Okay.
Emma,
so,
you have a 30.
welcome.
I hate to tell you, but you have a 30-second. You can only present for 30 seconds today. Everything.
Oh yeah. I can't.
We're already
Sorry.
like 6 seconds in. All right,
Yeah,
go.
no, I'm
Irritating of the week. Go. Go.
irritating state of the week. Number one,
Yeah.
Paris's 126-year-old auto club still says no to women
Oh,
members. That is
that
the
accent.
verbatim
That's a
headline,
terrible
which
accent.
is amazing. Um,
Okay.
so, a little context, there is an exclusive French club for the executives of the automobile industry called Lotto. That was created in 1985 for the rich and powerful of car manufacturers to congregate in Paris. They hold events
Okay.
and dinners and conferences regarding the future of motor vehicles in their Parisian mansion. And given that women are becoming a stronger presence in the car industry, as is exemplified by Mary Barra being the CEO of General Motors and Michelin having 4 women on their executive committee and Peugeot having a female CEO, are still choosing to bar women, which is actually not technically in their bylaws, but is the history and the tradition.
I
But
mean,
President
if I was a woman in Paris, I would want nothing to do with that club anyway. I'm just saying.
nothing to do with that.
Even as a man, I would want
And there
nothing to
are
do with those
people who
people.
argue that they are kind of irrelevant and antiquated, but it seems like shit happens there. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm sure there's a lot of power going on there more than
Oh,
letting
yeah.
men.
Well,
All right.
listen to this.
Yeah.
President Louis Desange said that barring women won't change as long as I'm president because he feels that like 3/4 of our rough 2,000 members don't want this to change. And I'm too democratic to impose something they don't want. But,
Okay.
you know,
It's
despite
men voting though.
democracy, Louis is very generous.
Yeah.
And in 2019, when one Clotilde de Boss took over as interim CEO from
Your French
Mr.
pronunciation is going like completely downhill as your story goes on. By the way,
Clotilde.
de
Um,
boss. I mean, that's terrible.
is that even it's a very weird French last name. Anyway, sorry, Clotilde. She took over as interim CEO from Mr. Carlos. I got carried in a cello case to evade arrest. Ghosn. Louis, said that they might be able to offer her a card that would give her the same rights as a member's wife, which wouldn't even give her access to their sick underground swimming pool, which is fucked up. And it might not surprise you to learn that Louis here is not a fan of the speedy
I
switch over to electric vehicles.
I
Oh,
have to
Matt,
interrupt. I
special
just
news.
got a call. I just got
News
a call
bulletin.
from the vet. Someone hit our cat with a car. So TikTok,
Oh.
fuck you, and whoever just hit my cat with the car,
Oh,
fuck you too.
can we
I'll,
revote? Can we revote?
Yes, you can revote, but I
Can I
have to
choose
go
both?
now. They're actually she's in
Oh.
critical condition, and they
Oh
said if you
no.
don't come now, my cat might be dead.
Well,
So
you go take care of your
this is
cat.
not great. I will talk to you guys next week, where
Wait,
there'll
this
be
is a
more
stra-
free float content.
One of our strangest shows ever.
This is one of
Honestly.
our strangest shows
Goodbye,
ever.
everybody.
Bye. I
I
love your cat.
I okay.
Wow. And there goes Matt. That was such a
This is becoming now like exceedingly awkward.
this is now becoming exceedingly
Like
awkward, but
that really happened. His cat is.
I guess so.
Oh.
We might as well wrap it up, right?
Why don't you finish your stories? Well, this is the last thing we're doing anyway. Finish your
Yeah.
stories. We'll get out of here because now it's like now I'm doubly depressed, and that's
Yeah,
not a good
damn, a
thing.
cat might be dead now.
Yeah.
Ugh, horrible. Anyway, so that's story number one. This
Okay.
French auto club is saying no
Got it.
female members. I mean, it's just fucking stupid. Anyway, moving on. Story number two. Rupert Murdoch's daughter-in-law is spending $100 million fighting fake news and partisanship.
Daughter-in-law. Okay.
His daughter-in-law. So Rupert Murdoch's daughter-in-law, Catherine, has pledged to spend this $100 million to combat the partisan
Is she,
bias and misinformation in news.
is she married to the not terrible Murdoch
Correct.
son?
She is married
Okay.
to James, the black sheep of the family who
Right.
doesn't
Right.
actively deny climate change and doesn't support media manipulation of free and fair elections, but he definitely profited off of that because
Like I say,
this $100 million.
takes the money probably. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they are donating $100 million. Where do we think this $100 million came from? Which
Yeah.
I can very
I wonder
specifically tell
why.
you.
I'm sure I watched too much Succession, although I haven't seen any of the new season. But I wonder why James can't figure out a plan just to ruin Fox News, just to ruin
Well,
his
it's like
family's empire.
if we're using Succession as a comp, then James is the shiv
No
of the
spoilers,
family.
please.
No? James is the
I
Shiv
don't
of the
know.
family.
I don't know that anyone in that show is actually good, but I haven't seen the
Exactly.
latest
He's the
season, so I
Shiv. Shiv is
right.
is implied to be a Democrat. She doesn't work in the family business for a lot of the show. She hypothetically disagrees with her family's politics, but
Hypothetically, right? Yeah.
right. But she still is a part of the family.
James. Yeah.
She hasn't
James.
disowned anyone. She kind of wants to be at the company secretly, and she's perfectly happy to make money off of it.
Yeah.
So how
James wants to
different
be
is she really?
accepted. He wants to be accepted by the part of society that absolutely hates the rest of the family in Fox News, right?
Exactly.
So he just wants like a bigger friend group. He wants the ability to hang out with like Stephen Colbert and Ben Affleck, whoever like he wants to hang out with. That
Ben
so
Affleck.
that $100 million I think is like a down payment on being accepted by the Taylor Swifts of the world. I think that's what he's
Right.
trying to do.
And
Yeah.
that $100 million that is burning a hole in their pocket to be spent, apparently, comes from a $2 billion payout that James Murdoch got from Disney's acquisition of 21st Century Fox that his daddy like handed
What
to him.
what does James Murdoch do you know what he does? What does he
He
do?
used to run 21st Century
But what does he do
Fox.
now?
I don't think anything, as
Okay,
far as I know, except
and
for
why is the story
this.
about her that she I don't understand. Are they divorced? Like why is the story about
No,
her
they're
giving the money?
together. It is very interesting that they're focusing on her because in the article, they don't focus on him almost at all. They're saying
Okay.
that it's Catherine who's doing the donating, but
So
that
is
the
she the
pair
one
of
that's made him
them,
a better person? Is that the insinuation?
I think so, but God
That
only
he was a
knows.
big dirtbag and then he married like a liberal and she's helped him see the light. Is that it?
Maybe. I
All right.
I don't know if that has been confirmed by any actual news outlet, but
So
it
what
seems to be the implication.
and what makes you irritated about this? That it still comes from dirty money? Is that your point?
Yeah. It is
Okay.
super irritating to me because so first of all, they made this family foundation that is regrettably named Quadrivium, Quadrivium,
Okay.
which what the fuck does that mean? I don't know.
That's yeah. Yeah.
And it's just
What does
the
that mean?
blood money that they made off of his dad's company that they're putting back into it. The pledge is super vague. They have already donated a multi-million-dollar grant to the Associated Press and $5 million to the highly specific and super trackable cause of, and I quote, local newsrooms. I don't
Mm.
really know how you donate to a local newsroom, but whatever. It's just uber irritating to me that they're making this big show of donating to fight misinformation and partisan bias in media when the money they are donating is their blood money from actively profiting off of it.
Got
They,
it.
it's not impressive to me.
I hear you.
And
That's number 2.
that's number 2. Third and finally, Melania Trump wants to sell
Yes.
you an NFT of her cobalt blue eyes.
I don't even know what that really. See, I don't really know what that means.
It's all it means is there's a
Is it the
watercolor painting of her eyes
okay?
that is being sold for 1 Solana coin, which is the
I don't know
equivalent
what
of
that means either.
$180.
Wait, so
And
can are
yeah,
there multiple NFTs of it? Like, can I buy the eyes and you buy the eyes, or can only one of us buy the eyes?
it depends on how many they mint, basically. So
Okay,
I
so it's like
don't,
like a baseball card almost, like a. But
yeah,
I don't
so
really. I still don't
exactly.
get
A
any of
baseball
this.
card's a good
Okay.
equivalent. Right. And so you can buy what is essentially a virtual watercolor painting of Melania
Hmm.
Trump's eyes for $180, but it does come with a audio message of hope from the anti-cyberbullying queen herself.
Okay.
And
Audio message of hope.
and the cherry on top is that the proceeds from the NFT sales are going to support children in foster care. The irony
Okay.
of which is
Well, if we get rid
just
of abortion, we're going to need a lot of money going to
yes,
support
we
children in
are.
foster
And
care.
coming from the woman who was first lady to a president that separated children from their parents and put them
Oh
in cages
wow.
at the Mexican border,
Yeah.
I would argue that maybe she's a reason why there
Are
are
you
some of the children
are
in
you
foster
expecting
care
her
that
to be
there are.
deep and to be nuanced and to be thought out? Is
Oh
that what you're
no,
expecting? Okay.
definitely not. But this one was a little too much for me to handle.
Uh,
This
I
piqued
mean,
my
this will.
irritation levels.
I mean, I'm praying soon that Donald will be dead, and this is just going to be the story of the family of just different ways of grifting their fans. Like it's just, but that's really what that family is. Just
Yeah.
finding different ways to steal the money. They're basically like televangelists, like these big super church
Oh
people.
yeah.
That's all they really are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. So those are your
So
three options.
should I vote for Matt and for Ari too? Do you want to vote? You vote
I'll
for
vote for Ari.
you
You
do
can vote
Matt.
for Matt.
I'll do Matt. Okay, I'll do Matt.
Okay.
Matt would say, I gotta really think about this. Matt's not gonna see Matt. This is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Matt's not gonna care about. See, I just sense. Oh God. Okay.
I know what Ari would do.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, hang on. We're gonna do it in a skit format.
Yeah.
So you ask me what I vote for, and then you're gonna ask
As
me why
Ari.
after I answer. Okay,
Ari.
ready?
Ari. What are you voting for, Ari?
Auto Club.
Why?
Because the women members, they can't go. And
That's
that's
actually pretty
bad.
good. Okay.
Thank
I
you.
like that.
That's my performance.
Um, we were just
I love
talking. I
you,
was just
Ari.
talking about this with a colleague about how uh, Europe has a lot of. We're talking about like regulating social media and big data. You're talking about that with Matt. Um,
Hmm.
A lot of European countries like France seem to have they regulate things like women in leadership. So there's a requirement in France. I think that 40% of all boards have to be women, which is goddamn progressive, right? Pretty impressive. And yet,
Comparatively, yeah.
and yet, Europe is so it has a lot of these codified progressive feminist rules, and yet when you spend any time there, the stench of patriarchy in Europe is like ridiculous. It's
Ugh.
overwhelming. So
Yeah.
it's just a strange place. Um, I don't know how I feel about this because I hate elitist clubs in general. So
Hmm.
I'm already like torn about like my mind always quickly goes to like forget admitting women, just get rid of the stupid club to begin with. But that's not really a
But Damien,
vote.
they have an underground swimming pool at the bottom of their mansion in
Which must
Paris.
be nice in Paris. I mean, I imagine that's a
Yeah.
refreshing.
Not many pools
It
around
gets
there.
pretty disgusting there in the summer. I would like to be, but I could be a part of that club. So who am I to
Totally.
complain?
Absolutely. You're very
Uh,
qualified.
the Murdochs. Yeah, this is a God. This is tough. I mean, I guess I'm gonna vote. I'm just because emotionally the world of NFTs always irritates me. I'm just gonna throw my vote behind Melania Trump. Club
Whoa.
wise.
All right. And
Matt,
what would
I'm having
yeah.
trouble with channeling Matt on this one. Can you help me out?
Yeah, I think my inclination for Matt's vote, I
He's not going to
think
care
would
about one, number one.
I think he'd agree with you on the NFT. I think that he's
Okay.
Melania. I think that it
All right.
would really annoy him that first of all, it has to kind of do with something metaverse adjacent, which
Right.
always strikes Matt wrong. But I also think
True.
that the inclusion of Melania Trump in the NFT crypto metaverse world would be really spectacular for his
Yeah.
irritation levels.
Akin to like Nike selling in the metaverse. It's just, yeah, I think you're right. I think it all would irritate him. So that just leaves you. Where's your vote here?
I think that my vote is Murdoch. I
Okay.
don't I want them to just I would rather them go the Lachlan route and just be the hateable people that they are rather than trying to pretend
So
like
what should the heir of a despicable family do then? Like what should they? Should they not try to fight the good fight? Should they not try
they
to
should, but
Yeah.
why did he work for 21st Century Fox and then cash out for $2 billion and now he's all of a sudden like, "Oh, I want to fight misinformation." Like
Isn't
no,
it
it's
kind of but doesn't it good that he's using that money to fight? Yeah, I'm torn about this one.
but
I
we're talking about $100 million. He has
That's
two
true.
billion at his disposal.
That's true. Oh, I'm sure he has much more
And
than that. That's just the payout from
because
that
I'm sure he
one.
has
Yeah, of course.
shares and yeah,
Of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
of course. All right, so I will say that the that might be your vote, but the winner is Melania Trump
The
NFT.
winner is Melania Trump, as I
Most
was
irritating
expecting.
story of the week. For the sake of brevity, because we've already lost two of our colleagues, one in a very depressing manner.
Yeah.
Um, I let's wrap up the show. Who do you think who won the week?
I
And
think
I'm gonna
Ari won the week.
okay. You're gonna say Ari. I'm gonna say Matt's cat. I'm gonna give praise
Uh,
to Matt's cat here. Feel bad about
I
this
wonder which one
situation.
it was. I hope it's
Well,
okay.
okay, he's got two, so at least there's be one left, is what you're saying. That's
Oh,
right?
nice. Nice.
Okay. Matt's gonna say that. What's Matt gonna say? Ari's gonna say. I think Ari's gonna agree with me about Matt's cat, and I think
Mm-hmm.
Matt's gonna agree with you about Ari. So we have a tie. Ari and Matt's cat won the week. Uh, Finally, predictions. Mine's easy. I predict that we will have a best of 2021 show next week. We're gonna
How
pick our
did you
stories of the
know?
year, our most irritating of the year. This is gonna be quite an effort. This is not easy. But I
Yeah,
predict that we're
I'm
gonna do that
nervous
show
about it,
next week.
honestly. I do
Do you
not
have any
know what I'm gonna
predictions?
pick. What?
Yours is tough. Yours is gonna be tough. The most irritating stories of the year because they're
Of the
all generally
year.
irritating.
I
Yeah,
mean, we might have our winner from last week alone, though.
yeah.
But
Do you have
I do have a
your prediction? Have a
prediction.
prediction? Yeah, go
I
ahead.
do. My prediction is that Nancy Pelosi will get
Yeah.
indicted for insider trading, but will not go to prison. That is my
What
guess.
is that a joke? You really think that could? You think there's a possibility there?
Uh, I kind of do. I know it's a stretch. I know what I'm
Yeah,
saying. But Nancy Pelosi is just a little bit too defensive of her stock holdings in recent
yeah.
weeks and months.
I
So
don't know
I
why.
just am
I don't get.
smelling something off.
Here's what I don't get about like rich people and especially about like politicians who invest in the stock market. Why is it so important? Like you can
Because
just
she
invest in
makes
real estate.
so much
I mean, she lives
money.
in California. I mean,
She does.
any real estate investment, I'm sure, would give her a crap ton of money. There's so many things that rich
But
people can
Damien,
invest
she
in.
can't insider invest on real estate as easily as she can for
Well,
companies
sure
that
she
she's
could.
trying to
Actually, you're
regulate.
probably wrong. Actually, I'm sure there are things coming down, new regulations that cover real estate that she would know. I mean, she could probably insider invest in everything. I mean,
It's true.
she's a very powerful person. I
That's what
mean,
I'm saying. Is that
yeah.
the opportunities for her to be an inside investor is just so huge
I
that
just don't. But
how
but I just don't get why this thing is persisting. Because to me, it's just sort of shamefully awkward that any elected politician could invest in any publicly traded company. It's crazy to
I
me.
would also have a secondary mini prediction that
Yeah,
AOC and Nancy Pelosi get in a very public argument about elected officials investing in the stock market.
I hope so. I hope so. I
I would
support
love
you,
it. I would
AOC.
love it.
That's all I have. December 17th, 2021. We're going to end this show on a down note. A strange ending to the show. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Matt's cat. Thank you, Ari, for, I don't know, what did we thanking her for?
For
Generally working hard.
yeah.
Okay. And that's it. I'm not going to tell you to go support us on and to like share with your friends because I don't think people do that. I don't do that. I don't share
Yeah.
I don't
Just do
share
your
the podcast I
best. We
listen to. Yeah,
can
just do your best.
do your
How about this?
best.
Instead of sharing the show and telling people, if you have thoughts about how we can increase our audience, why don't you become a free consultant to us and give us a call? I think that's what people should do.
We can give them compensation in
No.
nothing. Never mind. Okay.
No, just do it
Bye.
because you care. Yeah, bye.